Hi, this is, we're ready to take off from San Francisco going to Portland. And we're using, we got a lot of piggyback planes there in San Francisco here. We are going to be using the E-Jet 170, the SSG E Jet, which recently had an update to it. Looks like we may be piggybacking on another plane here, so let's go ahead and change that. We've got a full busy schedule here. Let's change to, go down to 53 and see if that. There we go. I don't see any competition there for us. And make sure we are still connected. All right. So SSG recently came out with an update in November 2020 for their 170 and 195. And I also updated the checklist that I'm working on, that I've worked on, that I sent out, published a few months ago, and cleaned that up a lot. And then also made sure that, did a few updates to it, and let's make sure it still works with the updated plane. All right, so let's get started. We will go up to the adjustments display screen, and we are at a gate, so we don't need to worry about the stair location. I've got the N key set up to go to the next item in the checklist, so I'll go ahead and click on that. Now we can open the cockpit door by hitting Shift F9, and our cockpit door opens up. All right, so let's go back up, and then we select pounds for this flight, and let's go ahead and open up some of the doors here. All right, that should do it there. All right, and we're going to go ahead and leave the yoke and seat on. The prior version, actually, the yoke interfered with the seeing the displays here. With the new one, it looks like it works pretty good, so we'll go ahead and leave that open. Okay, on with the checklist. Go back up and turn on our batteries. And then our GPU is available, so we'll click on that, and it says in use. Turn our nav light on, and generators 1 and 2 get turned off. And we'll come down here, this will fire up, and we will. Master caution starts dinging, and I'll click on that. And what I will do now is I'm going to decrease the desktop audio down, so especially when we start getting out and flying, that it won't interfere with the going through verbally with the checklist. All right, now let's check. We've got our ATC, and tower is 120.5. So we'll hit the F8 key. There we go. And actually we can go ahead and do text message console. And our nearby ATC. All right. So we got departure and tower. Let's go to 12050. And we can turn on the keyboard here. Right there, you can see that it's on. So 120500. Okay, and now we can come up here. And we're going to do text because of I'm somewhat hard of hearing. So we'll go tower, and we're doing SkyWest. We are 5456. Request clearance to PDX. as filed. And we should go 1200 for our transponder until we get a actual code to do. Let's make sure we got that right. Tower 12050. I don't see a clearance, San Francisco clearance, so I think we need to do tower for this. They'll get back to us if it's not correct there. So we got dispatch. We do have virtual UA. We've got that all loaded. SkyWest 5456 E170, and so we can put that aside. We have a pre-clearance departure KSFO flight level 3000. So we can dial that in. Altitude select. Since we've got it, we'll do it. It's a little bit ahead of our checklist. Okay, transponder 3632. Keyboard is still on. 3632. Make sure I'm not being 3632. All right. And Truckin' 2, Grateful, Malshu, Timbers 2, climb via SID, 3,000 10 minutes after departure, departure frequency 120.9, plan one way, one right, ATC may change anytime. All right, so we're looking good there. So we have our departure set up, looks good, and our tracking client. Now let's go up here to turn the keyboard off. There we go. And go up to our adjustments display. And let's see what we've got to load today. Bring up our charts and our flight. We've got, go to the second page here, actually the third page. All right, so we've got a payload of 18.6, so we will bring this up to $18,625. That looks good enough. Okay, I guess we are set. We're green. We've got FMC manual select for the fuel. We'll check to see that later and double check that. All right, so adjustments display done. I'm going to put our plan off to the side here. And go to menu and pause in it. I'm going to load and I'm going to go to route and put the keyboard back on, KSFO. Now, just to be on the safe side, I'm going to go to menu and reinitialize and activate. And then now we can go back to menu, pause in it, go ahead and load. All right, all three. Keyboard is on, KSFO for the origin, and KPDX for the destination. Company route is SkyWest, let's see, 5456, 5456, that should be pretty easy to remember. And company route, oh, that's not where it goes. We go SkyWest 5456 in the flight ID. Then we're going to invalid file name there. Yes, I know. All right. It's such a short route, I didn't bother to save an actual route for it. So we'll go ahead and go next. And we'll take a look at our flight plan. Truckin' 2 Grateful. Actually, we only got MACHU as, well, did it take it? No, MACHU. Well, let's try the intermediate point then. Grateful should actually be part of our SID. Yeah, that's all right. It'll double. And then MACHU. Oh. Now it registers major. Oh, that's perfect. All right, so now we can go to nav and departure. And we can expect a departure. All right, performance, menu. Let's see, flight plan. That looks good. I'll hit the nav button. And for some reason, well, let's see, does fix work? Well, fix works. KPDX. And /15 /10. Don't know why it's giving me invalid entries there, and /5. Okay, so it's looking good here. Oh, maybe because we don't have an actual flight route yet. So let's go back to nav. And let's try arrival. No, arrival's not working. Let's see. Flight plan list, KSFO. Let's go to index, menu. Well, let's go to flight plan. We don't have... Well, let's do initialize again. Okay. And then go to flight plan. Pause it. And go ahead and load those. Go route. We have keyboard on. KSFO. KPDX. Maybe when I put the company route in there, it kind of messed up. Okay, so KPDX. Flight ID is SkyWest 5456. That goes to the flight ID. Activate that. Okay, go to the next page. We are going to GRTFL. All right, and then MACHU. All right, and then we go nav and departure. Oh, there we go. We got one right, and we are looking at truck and two and grateful, and then activate that. And then go to arrival. We are coming in on Timbers 2 and Machu. And we expect 10 right, ILS 10 right. And if we bring up our flight plan here, let's bring this, move it over, and look at Scapo looks like a good place for us to come in. We're going to be coming in from the south and coming in, so we'll expect this will give us a little extra room to get into the approach. So Scapo looks perfect. All right, and then we activate that. Let's go back to flight plan now. So we've got the FMS-NET. Oh, turn off the keyboard. Okay, the keyboard is done. Now my keyboard will work. FMS-NET, we've got the route, departure, arrival. We've taken care of continuities right now. So bring Machu up and activate it. Got, and between SID and your flight plan, and the star and your flight plan, and then the star and the approach. There's often, okay, so that looks good. Let's, as a sanity check, let's put this away here and go down to our, for map, let's turn off progress and go to plan mode. We're on page 1, and so we can step through this, go up north, Portland, Timbers, coming in here. There's Scapo, gives us a little extra room to make this turn right here into our approach into Portland. Okay, so our plan looks good and we checked it out. Let's turn progress back. Okay, so we've taken care of the continuities. Now we can go to performance and performance init. And what I typically do is, based on notes that are on the forum from, I believe, real life E-Jet pilots, is to make a little bit of a modification for this. And it's not much, but what we do is 270, okay, keyboard is active, 270/0.74 for climb, okay, and then 0.76 for cruise, and then 280/0.76 for descent. Okay, so that's one thing that doesn't, it's not that much of a change, and I've done it without it. It seems to work fine. And then we go next page. We've got 2,000 for our fuel reserve, and then next page we've got 300, flight level 300, and everything else looks good. And we can do a confirm init. So we've got, now we check the reserve fuel. So let's go back up, turn off keyboard. All right, now I can use the keyboard to come up to the adjustments display. We have an estimated 95.43 for the fuel projection. Let's take a look at, so our planned fuel is 11,000 with 2,000 extra from SimBrief. So close, but I think I'm going to go ahead and click on the manual fuel selection and go ahead and bring that up to 11,000. Okay, and then now I can hit the fuel button and we're fueling there. So do not want to run out of fuel there. So that was quick. We just get our tanks topped off there. So we've got our reserve fuel, and we've done our cruise altitude already. We worked through that, and then now we can go into the perf init, confirm init. We did that as well. Adjustment display fuel, we did that. Now we can go to the thrust limit. I'm going to go ahead and leave that as it is. If we had any constraints, we could take it off to -2, or take off 2 or 3. And take off temperature 9.9 degrees Celsius. If we go back over here and go to airports, San Francisco, do a refresh, got an outside temperature of 10, so 9.9 versus 10 is very, very, very close. So it's correctly read the temperature there. All right, so we got the thrust limit, takeoff route. Now we can go back over here, takeoff. That looks good. And then we go to next page. We're going to do flaps 2. Oh, press the keyboard key, the magic button, and enter flaps 2. Now we can go next page. Let's bring our Go back up here and take the keyboard off. No, take the keyboard off. There we go. Up. And so I think we're done with that for, oh no. So what we want to do, we need to get the manual out and close this E Jet Quick Reference Manual. And we want the 170. Takeoff mode, we want takeoff mode 1, flaps 2. And we are looking at a 62,000 pounds, 63,000 pounds. So there's our information for our V1, VR, V2. So 65, 60, 66. So turn the keyboard back on. And we've got 115 for V1, 126 for VR, 135 for V2, and 181 for VFS. Alright, so we got our takeoff ref, keyboard off, so I can use the N key to check off the next item on the checklist. Stabilizer trim. Alright, next page. 170, let's see. Bring this down. All right. We are pitch trim, and we are 26% Mac, so that's between 25 and 26. We're doing flaps 2, so takeoff ref would be about 2.75 or thereabouts. So we go down here to our pitch, and two 5, 2 6, 2 7. That 2 7 is close enough there. All right, so we got the stabilizer trim, and then now we can put this off to the side. And what did we come back over here? Airport 3021 is our altimeter. So one of the nice things that they changed with this is that the barometer setting now is very precise. You can change it and in single-digit increments, so that's even smaller than that. All right. Well, I know that our actual altitude is just between 10 and 20 feet here. So I think from an altitude point of view, we're looking good. What did I say? 3021, 3018. Yeah, it should be. What do we? 3, 2. Yeah, 321. Okay, so that's good. Altimeter initial altitude is 30,000, which we already set, so that is still set. And target is 181, so we are going to make it, it's going to be a little bit before we turn on our autopilot, so I set that for 191 or 200. We'll set it for 191. And then runway heading for KSFO, one right is 14 degrees. So we can do a heading select, which is down here, and I'm changing Short-term memory. 1-4. Okay. And so we got runway heading set. And we've got source. Says FMS. To make sure, we're going to click on the button there, and we've got FMS. And then ACARS, we'll skip that. All right, thrust is idle. We can go ahead and come up and turn on the APU. It flips back from start to on. We're going to come down here and we see it spin up. So the APU is spinning up. And we can put this in flight plan mode and put it away for right now. APU is running at 100%. Okay, so GPU button is off. It says available, not in use, so that is good. So that's done already. And then we can go ahead and go to the adjustments display screen and disconnect our GPU. And if we go outside, GPU is now gone. All right, so let's, at this point, we can actually, we've got our fuel loaded, passengers are loaded, we can close our doors. And doors and windows closed, so we can check that off. Passenger sign, let's go ahead and have the passengers sit down. So we got and we've got red beacon on, and we've got sterile cockpit, hydraulic pump 3A on, and we can go to transponder, which is radio, and we are standby, and we are set. Takeoff, go around button. That's this special button right here. It's hidden. It's actually on the yoke someplace, but it's I don't know whether it's on easier to access on the panel here. So we click there, and we've got roll and takeoff. All right, so we're good there, and it flashes a few times and then off. Nose wheel steering is down here. We click on that, and push and start clearance. Okay, so. Okay, tower. Request pushback and engine start. Received pre-clearance. Okay. All right, just, we can just kind of adjust the lights here a little bit. We are running X-Plane 11.51 Beta 2. All right. All right, so we got pushback and engine start approved. Go to better pushback and start.
Hey, Captain, let me know where you want this thing. Great news, Captain, your toe's coming.
And I apologize for the sniffing around with the nose. Got a little bit of sinus infection that is just about getting squawk normal mode. Mode C. We will do takeoff. All right. So we're squawk mode C. We should be good there. And there we go.
All right, looks like the doors and hatches are closed and we're ready to connect.
All right, there's our little plane and pushback crew.
We got that winching strap and adapter hooked up. Go ahead and let go of the parking brake when you're ready for a push.
All right. And our gate goes up. Getting connected here. Looks like the doors are shut.
Here comes the pushback. Light them up.
All right. So, engine start. Pushback and clearance received. Engine switch. Get both of these open. Start number 2. And now we're looking at engine number 2 coming up. And then N1 should fire off pretty darn soon here. We're looking N1 increasing as N2 increases. So we're starting to spin up there, so we come up here and turn the generator to auto. And we can come down and start engine number 1, put it over in the start mode. Same thing, we're looking at ignition. N2 coming up to 20. Now that's past 20, we should be looking at N1 firing up. N1 fires up. Looking good there, so we turn the generator on there. Tracking client. Tracking client shows engines are on, so it recognizes everything, so we can turn that off. We can now turn off the APU, and we'll set our flaps at 1. We can see here, and the lever go down, and we can see on the flap display that we've got, we're moving down. We are at 1. Go down
Just
one
about
more.
done here. Go ahead and set your parking brake.
All right. Parking brake is set.
And we're disconnecting the tow. Give me just a moment.
All right, we're up flaps 2. Engines are running. Flight director is on. It's already checked that. Now, what I expect is either A or B down.
And we're disconnected. Signal and pin on the right. Take it easy and have a safe flight.
And following A around to 1 right, as was initially described to us there. Well, let's see. Okay, he's showing the pin there, so we can go ahead and acknowledge that. I turn on the side taxi light, there we go, and go over to ATC, tower, SkyWest 5456, ready to taxi. If you are hard of hearing, this makes one of the nice things about VATSIM is that it has this text mode. Runway 1 R via A1. Thank you. All right, so brakes off and a little acceleration, back down, test the brakes. Brakes are not working. So let's go to joystick. Do nothing. That is not right. We want brake Let's see. Hold, brake, regular. Apply, done. All right. Okay, now our brakes are working. So we got taxi light, taxi clearance, taxi lights. Emergency lights can now be armed. Let's see, we are on taxiway A, where our ground speed is indicated right here. 15 is a good taxi speed for a busy airport. Straightaways, I can go up to 20, 25 without getting yelled at. Round corners, definitely 15, sharp corners, 10. So that's my rule of thumb that I use here. Now, I did try this flight a little bit short time ago, and had lots of problems with both the E Jet as well as other things that went on, and I think it was probably the beta version of 1150, because yesterday I took a trial flight with this plane, ATC and everything, from Palm Springs to Salt Lake City, or actually Salt Lake City to San Francisco, and everything worked really well. Okay, so our ground speed is up to 18. We're coming up to a corner, so I'm not going to push it any faster than that. We've got our flaps set to 2. Got our roll and takeoff mode here, so everything is looking good. I'm going to put this away now because we know the route that we need to go here. And I'm going to press the F8 key and get our flight plan up. So that way it'll be a little bit easier to deal with there. Get back on track here. We are running Orbix California Scenery, Mr. X KSFO. And just, all right, double check on here. There's a go around one left, that way. And okay. So A1 is to the left according to the sign. Drop the speed down for our corner. Actually, just drop the throttle down to idle. And come around here, and we are at A1. Okay, come around and slow down for the hold point. Okay, we're at our hold point. Taxi to hold point, we are there. All right, RTO, takeoff config.
No takeoff, brake.
All right, looks good. Yeah, we have brakes on, we know that. ICAS is good. And requests. And cleared for takeoff. SkyWest 5456. Thanks. All right, so we've already got transponder is set. We can go up here and turn off taxi, turn on runway, strobe light is on, auto throttle is on. We're ready to take the runway. All right, heading sync, we should be fine because we already set that for this runway. Check that off. Give it a little bit more throttle here. We are already at 40% and stable, so we're looking good. For our engines are both producing a decent amount of thrust. And then now we bring our throttle forward until we can see our takeoff.
Takeoff okay.
All right, so we got our takeoff and auto throttle is flashing.
V1, VR,
All right, VR, rotate.
V2,
Positive rate, gear up. Keep it at about 10% here. We're going to angle over to tide. I'm going to manually change our heading to map where we're going here. There we go. Bring the nose down. Maintain our speed. Come back around and get on track here. Yeah, let's bring it down. All right. Get our speed up a little bit more. All right. So let's go ahead and I'm going to bring it around here and get back on track. 3,000 feet at tide. And we're looking good with that. So let's go ahead and put on autopilot and nav and VNav and FMS speed. All right, so we go to target at truckin'. Actually, we're beyond that. Okay, speed mode is in FMS mode. We've got LNAV engaged, and we have VNav engaged. And then we can reset our altimeter at 10,000 feet. Now, if the clouds look a little bit different now, I'm working on a beta version of X-Plane, 11.51 Beta 2, and we had a system hang right after takeoff. And so rather than redoing everything, I decided to leverage that portion for the video and start this video at takeoff. And I didn't bother with ATC at this point to connect with it. Figured to concentrate on going through the checklist. You can see the basics of the working with ATC at the beginning of the flight. It kind of continues with more of the same. But I figured that given the issues that I had with this beta version of X-Plane, I would stick with the basics and see if we can get through the checklist and get that video made. Once we get stable and en route to Portland, let's get this set up a little bit more. There we go. Sim Toolkit Pro. And Not certain why we're not getting... STPK. All right. So we've got a good following the flight plan. Let's move our, go back out here. So we've got more of our flight plan shown in the map view. We've got our flaps up, gear up, auto brakes are off. Transition level is actually 18,000 feet. But we'll go ahead and put our barometer at 10,000 along with turning off our landing lights. Turn that off. Sterile cockpit can go off and fasten seat belts. All right. Well, let's look at the checklist. All right, now we are good to go. We'll finish our climb, and we will, at that point, I'll come back online. See if we can get over North Bay, a few clouds. See Pittsburgh, California in the background there. Mount Diablo. There's South Bay, San Francisco, a little bit of Orbix scenery as we're going there. All right. Now, the cockpit has been improved considerably with this version of the E-Jet. Before, the bezel here used to chop off part of the display. Now, and the displays are much crisper. Everything in the cockpit is much crisper and has more detail and definition. So I think they've done an excellent job. They've also done some bug fixes according to the website there. Some of the navigation things have been fixed. So it's looking quite nicely. See you at the next point of the checklist, which would be reviewing our approach ref and then starting our descent. Well, we are about 14 miles away from the top of climb. Heading up over Northern California. Yeah, let's see, 27,500 feet for our target flight level 300. Knock on wood, everything is working perfectly. This half of the trip, we can come back around, let's see, and open up the door. It looks empty, but there's actually people there. We can go forward here. Go through the cabin a bit. And through the curtain, we've got our area back here and then back around. Quick tour of the cabin. And front galley. And the cockpit. And we are just a few hundred feet short of being at top of climb. Matter of fact, on the progress page, it has dropped off. And we're slowing our rate of ascent down a little bit. And at 30,000, we've switched to Mach speed. Altitude select, and altitude is in purple now, magenta rather. And we have leveled off that perfecto. And then if we go into the next page of the progress screen, we see we are 674 nautical miles to top of descent. So I just wanted to fill you in there at the top of the climb. Wasn't anything that we needed to do. The E-Jet navigation took care of everything, followed our FMC programming, and so we'll give you a quick tour of the cabin and the cockpit a little bit more. So see you in, well, let's see, 670 miles. We are going, ground speed is about 433, hour and a half. All right, it's time to do a little bit of descent prep here. Let's see. Double check our approach. Go to nav and arrival. And we have 10 right and timbers 2. All right, timbers 2 is correct. ILS 10 right. Not certain whether it caught the correct transition. Timbers. ILS 10 right. And scaffold. Flight plan. Okay, let's see if we can get this back in nav mode. Let's swing heading around. We're in line. Now go back to nav. No error message now here. And let's see. I don't know whether this issue that we're dealing with here is because 11.51 beta. But let's take a look here. We got progress. We are 39 miles from top of descent. This still looks good as far as what we want for our descent. All right, so that's our approach radio frequency. Let's go to radio, and it is in auto mode, so we're good there. And target altitude is 2,000 feet. So let's bring our altitude select to 2,000 feet. The first flight that I did with the E-Jet, the new version of the E-Jet, I had to tinker around with the flight plan a little bit and didn't have any issues at all. So I'm not certain what's going on, and that was with the 1151 Beta 2 as well. So I'm not certain what's going on there. Go back to progress. 27 nautical miles from top of descent. We can also see the top of the descent here on our multi-function display. We do have this little point that where we make our U-turn into the runway. We've got that gives us a little bit of flexibility to burn off speed or altitude. Let's take a look at our star. Coming from the south, Machu City is the next. Here's City, where we're going to be intercepting the star. You can see us on the lower part. We're just entering the portion of the star. All right, 14 miles to top of descent. We've got our target altitude in. And altimeter 3014 for Portland once we get down to the transition altitude. All right, 10.9, so we can go to flight plan, descend now, and activate. All right. It's important to set our target altitude, whether that be for the actual approach for the runway, a vector that we're given, something like that we want to set. And when I had the flight the other day, it did a great job of following all of the altitude constraints all the way down. That was when I flew the Salt Lake City to San Francisco flight, a test flight before I did this one here. And of course, the test flight went without any issues, as is par for the course. All right, so we've checked the weather. Minimums, we can go over here, and we're looking at Cat 3, 100 feet. So dial this up to 100 feet here. RA of 124 or 100 decision altitude. We've got that. We can go ahead and turn our fasten seat belts on. Only the nose knows. We are now all within the 80 nautical mile, or virtually all, so we'll bring this in so we've got a better picture on our map of what's going on. We are a little above our target speed here, so let's give it one single speed flap there, and go back to the star, and there's city up here. We're just passing Eugene. We're coming close there, so we're looking good as far as that's concerned. Looking at our overall descent angle of attack, which is very convenient, we're looking very good overall as far as meeting our waypoint targets there. Alright, so we can take our speed brake back off. We are below our target speed now. Typically, I learned very little speed brake usage is required. It does a really good job of managing the auto thrust does a good job of managing it overall. Usually 1 or 2 notches is fine enough, unless you find yourself in a situation where ATC or somebody, all of a sudden you have to make a much higher descent than planned, or possibly simply because of the environment, mountains or something like that may force you into something like that. But here we're coming in through the Willamette Valley. It's pretty flat. Got hills on each side, but nothing spectacular. Got Mount Hood up front. You can see it through the window. We're on a little peak through the clouds. Mount Hood, Oregon. All right, we're getting real close to the transition altitude. And double check. We are still at 3014, so we can run this up here. Alright, 3014, coming in to city. City, we need to be at 11,000 feet. Next waypoint is actually Timbers at 11,000 feet. So we bypassed city. We are above our target, so quite a bit. So let's go 2 notches for the speed brake. Our next waypoint after Timbers is Vance, which is between 11 and 15,000. So the waypoints are kind of vary as far as the altitude restrictions here. This is above 11,000 for Timbers. Sorry about that. So Vance is between 15 and 11. So we're looking good with that. It's again tracking our FMS path. We are going to go ahead and turn on all the lights, make sure that anybody that's around can see us. We've got our altitude. Once we get towards the end of the star, we will go ahead and put it in preview mode and get ready for our ILS approach. So we're coming into Vance. Vance target altitude is between 11 and 15,000, and we are almost to 15,000. We're on target for our speed, so we can go ahead and back the speed brakes back off. And our throttle should be dropping back, which it is, so that it maintains our speed. And let's go back up here. So at Flower, we should be between 9 and 7,000. So Flower is at 9,000. And our speed has crept up again, so let's go ahead and put our speed brakes at 1. We definitely need to be below the 250 knots at 10,000 feet. And so we're at 256 and dropping, so we should be squeezing that out pretty good. And we've got the little green flap there on the wing showing that we've got our speed brakes up. Almost everything is within the 40-mile range of our 80 miles that we're looking at. So I'm going to go ahead and drop it down to 40 miles. All right, we're headed to Flower between 9 and 7,000 feet. We are at 250, and I'm going to keep the speed brake at 1. We're coming about 1,800 feet a minute for our angle of attack, so needs a little bit of additional resistance there to maintain the speed. And we're leveling off a little bit. And we are entering a bit of a clearing, getting towards Portland. All right, let's go to performance and landing. And next page. What we did here is that we used the chart, the manual, and for our weight of 66,000, the wind is 0, is calm, so we were able to use the VREF and VAP, the same speed there, 132 and 181. So we are all set there for our landing. Go back over to flight plan. So after Flower, we got S-Sail. Which is here, and between 8 and 6,000, so we got 8,000. Sorry about the scraping. There's Mount Hood. Out the first officer's window. That looks like Mount St. Helens there. Got the kind of a bit of a flat top. There's the Columbia River. All right, knock on wood. Everything is going well. Oh, a little bit of haze here. Not certain. Twice now, we lost our FMS. It showed that it was on LNAV, but it started wandering off the path at a pretty good angle there. Again, I don't know whether that is something about the. I would at this point suspect 11. We're in a beta version of 11.5, 1150, 1151, beta 2. All right, time to do one more notch for the speed brake. We're below 10,000 and we're creeping up over 250 knots. And then at micro, we're going to be going down to, actually we should be down to 210 now. So let's do a full speed brake for a couple of minutes. Get our speed down, ready for our turn here into final. I really like the new cockpit. It really looks outstanding. Everything is nice and sharp. You can press Shift F8 to get the navigation display, and then you can click over here to change your view there. So if you want something that is really easy to see, and you're coming in for a landing or something like that, then this is really nice to have this pop out. I'll go ahead and Shift F8. But this by itself is much better than the old version. All right, we are at our target altitude. I can do speed brakes off. We're leveled off. And if we looking at the first officer's window, we should be looking at the airport pretty soon. I think it's farther to the right. I think we may have already passed it there. Now what I'm going to do here is go ahead and bring the heading around, press on the heading key, and then I'm going to press heading to put it in heading mode. The reason I'm doing that is that I want to go from pub, I want to go around to Scappo in a little bit more roundabout way. This is going to be, that's a pretty tight angle, even for this airplane. And so there's no reason for that. So I'm going to go straight out and a little bit past Scappo, and then manually do my heading change to intercept it that way. A lot of times you'll see on an approach chart that it'll actually something like that. it'll actually have just simply a vector, and you'd be expected, ATC would be expected to route you to the next waypoint or tell you when to turn. And you can see if we were going to turn back here, we would be swinging way out and we would barely make it back to hit the next waypoint. So we'll do it this way. When we make the turn around to SCAPO, that's when we'll go to preview mode and nav mode source. And also we'll probably be in the range there to start putting our flaps down for final. Got just the tail end of a sunset here up in Portland. All right. Our target is to be at 4,000 feet at SCAPO. We're 4,200, so we're looking good there. All right, I think we're away from SCAPO far enough to make a little bit better turn to the next waypoint. And what we'll do is we will click on here and put it back here, activate, and put it in nav mode. That straightens out the line that we've got to here. We are also at a point to put it in preview mode. And let's see, let's bring our scope down to 15. Looks like we've got the airport straight ahead, so that's going to turn out really good. Handy. Auto brakes, let's put medium. So we've got preview mode on. Let's go to, we've got an active, we're marked there for our ILS. Matter of fact, if we check radio and go to, oh, it was already there. And we've got 110.5. So leaving this in auto mode, it knew the runway we're coming into and automatically programmed the radio. So that was nice. And so we can go ahead and put in press VL mode now and press it again so that we've got, it's green, we've got our localizer. All right, and now once we are truly active, we'll go into approach mode, and we need to manual speed. Let's go ahead and bring our speed down to 190, 180. And again, if we go over to performance and landing and next page, our target VREF is 118. So we can start dropping our speed down there. And we can go 160. We are 15 miles from the runway, so we are going to go to flaps 1. And we can go to approach. Press approach now, because we've got both flags are active. We've got flaps 1, so we can go ahead and go to flaps 2. And we will drop our speed down again to about 150. And we're still pretty speedy there, so I'm going to do some speed brakes. And a little bit more. All right, flaps 3. Target speed is 118, so we can drop this down. We are inside the 10-mile mark, so let's go ahead and drop our flaps again. And we want 118 and flaps 5. Gear down. All right, flaps full. Trying to get this speed closer to our reference before we put our speed brakes on. Looks pretty darn close, so let's go ahead and get our speed brakes up. We are on our glide slope. Got approach 2. Should we feel wild and crazy and think maybe we could try an auto landing too? Might. Auto brakes we've got set, so we've got approach mode and flaps. Alright, so landing we've got speed brake is ready. We are at our approach speed. We've got a line and flare set up, so we are set up for an auto landing. Might try it down to like 30 feet or so and see if we can disconnect at that point. I've got the manual throttle all the way down off. I was kind of worried coming up over Oregon. It was quite cloudy, but it's very nice here in Portland for our landing. Yeah, perfect, because we've got all the lights turning on and everything. Thank you for Orbit Scenery. Gear is down, flaps down, speed is reference speed. Right. And we are tracking our glide slope both on the screen here on the display as well as the lights that are on the by the runway, the BAPI lights.
Minimums. 50, 40, 30, 20, 10.
All right, reversers are on, and okay, reversers off.
Auto brake.
Let's bring our flaps up. And look at the airport chart. And slow down a little bit. Let's see. There's the autopilot button. Turn off the autopilot button. And bring the flaps the rest of the way up. We can go, while that's working, we can get the strobe lights, landing lights off. All right. Did we miss one? Landing lights off. All right. Taxi lights on. Speed brakes. Flaps are still coming up. Transponder on standby. That's radio. Standby. It's on standby. And flaps are up. And that's next. Taxi clearance. We'll say taxi clearance okay. And it's time to park. We'll come around here and slow down a little bit. Flaps are up all the way. Come in to see if we can get this baby lined up right. We don't even have to look outside. We've got a marshaller to guide us in place. All right, parking brakes on. Let's go up to do a GPU connect. Oh, we're already in use, so we can come down here and turn off our engines. Taxi lights off. SFS and seat belts off. And red beacon off, nav off. Emergency lights are off. Ignition 1 and 2 is off. Generators 1 and 2 off. Caution off. Oh, we left the door open. Who left the door open? AC pumps 1 and 2. AC pumps 1 and 2. I'm lost. Off. Off. AC pumps. DC pump off. And APU GPU is actually off. Alright. AC bus tides are on auto. Hydraulic 3A pump off. True is off. Essential off. DC bus ties. This is for complete power down, so off, off. Yes, we'll turn off the caution. And bus ties are off. DC bus ties. DC bus tie is off, and we are completely shut down. And, well, we're kind of sticking through the, boy, the gate kind of went through our plane there. We'll have to get that fixed. So, what did we do? We ended up with a minus 461. So, a little heavy, but that was okay. And we've made it all the way through the checklist. I hope you liked it. If you did, give me a thumbs up. If either the checklist or the videos is useful to you. Thanks for watching.